Now for our look at revival for Christians in some countries while they face terrible persecution in others. In Uganda, Christian children at a school were attacked and killed recently. Our CBN News International News Director, Gary Lane, is here to tell us more about this. Gary, this was a horrible, horrible act of terrorism, the slaughter of innocent Christian children asleep in their beds. Can you tell us what happened, who was responsible, and why on earth did this happen?
George, this happened on June 16th as these children, just shortly after they had gone to sleep, and one witness said they were singing Christian hymns as they went to sleep. This happened by a group called the ADF, that's the Allied Democratic Forces, and they're anything but democratic. They are an Islamic group that is tied to ISIS, a terror group, and they operate out of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And what they did is they moved across the border into Mpondwe, where this boarding school is, and the girls were basically hacked in their beds by machetes, and the boys were locked in their dorm, and their dorm was set on fire. And you can see here, these are the authorities going into the room there afterwards to check for evidence, to ascertain exactly what had happened. Yeah. But the boys were locked inside that dorm, and wow, they were burned alive. So in total, 37 children were killed, 4 adults, so a total of 41 at the hands of the ADF, a terror group operating out of the DRC, crossing the border into Uganda.
Yeah, Uganda is a predominantly Christian country, as you know, but I'm curious, how is this similar or different in terms of the slaughter of Christian villages in northern Nigeria? How is that
in northern
different?
Nigeria?
Yeah.
Well, in northern Nigeria, it used to be primarily Boko Haram, but you know that their leader died not too long ago. They're still operating out of northeastern Nigeria. But the biggest problem right now for Christians in Nigeria come from the Fulani herdsmen. They are Muslims, and they are given automatic weapons to go and attack Christian villages because there are wealthy landowners who want the land. So they will go in at night and they will attack these villagers and go in and just slaughter men, women, children, maybe kidnap some of them. And pastors have died as well. They'll target pastors of churches. All in the name of Allah. Yeah.
In some of these situations, especially in the northern and central part of Nigeria, as you know, there's a desperate need for water, and you got a lot of herdsmen who are farmers, right? Sure. And so, is this primarily a religious persecution, or is this also a battle for natural resources like water?
Well, I think it's a little of both. Yeah. Primarily, George, it is a battle for land and natural resources. As you say, they're herdsmen, they need water. They also like the land for grazing. If the Christians are on the land, they want that land. So wealthy landowners will say, hey, I want to expand my territory, and they will put these Fulani herdsmen up to it. Yeah. But they probably encourage them many times, you have to do this for Allah. Yeah. Do it in the name of Islam.
Gary, there is some terrific news coming out of a very strategic part of the Middle East. We're talking about the nation of Iran. What is going on there?
Good things are going on in Iran because
despite all the political...
Well, the political is maybe one reason why it's so good. Many people are coming to Christ. I mean, it's probably one of the fastest growing moves of Christianity in the world today. Thank you, Ayatollah, for that, because what it's doing, it's driving people away from Islam, his oppression, and towards other faiths. And Christians are stepping in and saying, we have the answers. So we're seeing many people baptized, coming to faith in Christ. But here's the good news. There are a couple of missionaries that say, look, when missionaries can't get in there and Christians can't share the gospel, God is finding a way. He's appearing to them in dreams and visions like we've never seen in 1,400 years. I mean, that's astonishing. Yeah. In 1,400 years of Islam, we're now seeing more Muslims coming to faith in Christ in Iran. But also good news, George. There was a judge last month who freed 2 house church leaders, a man and a woman, saying, look, they'd done nothing illegal. You know as well as I do, when Christians are arrested for house churches, they claim that the government claims that they are violating national security. They're a threat and a risk to national security. Yeah. The judge said, no, that's not the case. They've done nothing wrong.
Yeah. Real quickly, in the last minute that we have, what is fueling this growth? You alluded to the idea of the frustration with the politics of Islam. What else is fueling the growth of Christianity?
Well, I think it's also, it's not just the politics, but it's people are searching for something other than Islam. Islam is so oppressive to them in Iran, they're getting fed up with it. They do not have a good life. And you've been there, you've talked to the people, I have too, and many of them were sharing with me that they have no future. Yeah. They want children, they want families, but they can't afford it because they're working 2 and 3 jobs just to get by because of the inflation and so forth. So it is the politics, the economic, but also God is finding a way in those dreams and visions to reach them. So are Christians.
Yeah, it's awesome. Glad that you're here. Glad that we can continue putting a spotlight on the good news.
Yes, there is good news
inside Iran. Gary Lane, thank you so much for coming on the broadcast.